Hello, sparrows. Look at this glorious song of a peony. Pop! Peonies are popping everywhere. It is the time of the peony, and I put our little friend bee in here, and I thought it looked like a bee tutu. It looked like friend bee was dancing among the flowers, so I had to share it with you. I have our little storytelling wish, and I'm going to read today. I had trouble with my phone yesterday, so I couldn't send anything yesterday for some reason. So I'm quickly dashed in before it gets sweltering hot in here. And let's send hugs and love. Whee! From our hearts to your hearts, carried on the bird song and bird feathers, to anyone in the world who needs extra hugs and love today. And let's pour some tea. Let's pour peony tea. We'll have the chorus of the blooms and the dance of our beautiful bee. And we'll have the morning dew of a summer's day, which I don't know about you, but I am just smelling summer on the wind today. Cheers. Here's friendship thimble tea for you and friendship thimble tea for me. Peony tea. Who knew? Delightful. Let's put that there. I'll remember my storytelling glasses today. No vegetables or costumes today. I was just spent the whole time trying to fix my phone. So now that it's working, I'm going to quickly do that. Stay there. There we are. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you in your comfy spot? Wriggle around, get in your comfy spot. Welcome to the nest. So, Pippi's dad, Captain Ephraim Longstocking, had sailed across, from the south of the world to the north of the world to find Pippi, and asked her if she would like to come sailing on the good ship Hop Toad to the South Sea island called Karakeratut, where he was living, and invited her good friends Tommy and Annika to come with them. So they're all sailing on the seas from the north down to the south. So where it was very, very cold to down where it's very, very warm. So what is my phone doing now? I think, is it still recording me? Yes, see? Oh, technology. Okay, I'm going to carry on. Okay, I think I fixed it. Yes, I fixed it. Okay, we're good. So there they are sailing on the ship, and Pippi says to her dad, "Dad, so what's going on? Why are you the king of an island? You simply washed ashore onto an island, and then how on earth did you become the king? You haven't lived there your whole life, and you were not related to anyone there, and you come from the north, you don't come from the south, so that's very confusing to me of how suddenly you're telling me that you're the king of an island. How did that work?" And he said, "Well, I simply arrived on the island, and all of the people who lived there wondered what was this person that came out of the sea that they'd never seen before, because, well, I have white skin and they have brown skin, and I was the only person with white skin, and it was seemingly that I was more special than any of them, so I decided that I would tell them that I was going to be their king, and that I would be in charge of everything, and tell everyone how they would live, and make sure that everyone was safe and everyone had enough food, and that I would quite rightly be the king because I looked different than anyone else." And Pippi just stared at her dad and said, "Dad, That's not right. Just because you have white skin and they have brown skin, that does not mean that you get to be in charge. That island that you arrived on, that you were lucky enough to be washed ashore and be taken in by the people who lived there, that land is their home where they've lived for hundreds of years, and they know about the plants and the animals and the food, and they have special songs and special language. That it's not right that you would just arrive and think that you could take over just based on the color of your skin. What were you thinking? That's not right. And when we get to Carrick Island, we will have a big meeting with everyone, and you can apologize for having such a disrespectful regard for how they're living. And you will be a good friend. And Dad, you should know that while I've been bringing myself up, I have come to know that it's not about how people look. It's about what is in their heart and who they are as a person. We must respect each other and our differences and celebrate diversity, Dad. So I'm glad that you brought me on the good ship Hop Toad, for we are going to sort this out as soon as we get there. Pippi's dad thought about her words and then said, I'd never thought about it that way before. Thank you for telling me that, Pippi. You're right. When we get there, let's ask if we can have a meeting, and I will apologize, and we will find a way that we can live together on Carrick Island based on equality for all. Thank you, Pippi, for speaking up. That must have been very difficult for you to find the words to say. So once they'd had the conversation, they continued sailing on to Carrick Island. And when they arrived, that is exactly what happened. The people of Carrick Island came rushing to the harbour to welcome Pippi and her dad and Tommy and Annika and the crew. And Pippi's dad said, Pippi, my daughter here, has taught me a great lesson, that the color of someone's skin does not determine that somebody else should be in charge. And just because I have white skin doesn't mean that I get to come and just take over. I sincerely apologize. And the people of Carrick Island said, come, let's gather, let's talk around a fire. And that is what they did. And they thanked Pippi very much for speaking up. And that is where the next chapter begins. So on the third morning, after everybody had talked everything out they needed to talk out, and they celebrated diversity, and the children of Carrick Island learned all about the life of the children in the north from Pippi and Tommy and Annika, and they had learned all about the life of the children in Carrick Island. They woke up in the morning very excited to start adventuring. So they went down to the beach, and it was the first time that Tommy and Annika had ever stood on a sandy beach in their whole life. And Tommy and Annika were jumped up and down with delight when they saw the beautiful white sand. They dug themselves down into it and were laughing and splashing and gazing in wonder at the beautiful glass mirror-like bay in front of them. A coral reef a short distance out from the island made a wall in the sea, and it kept the children safe, and they were able to splash and dash in and out of the water until Pippi finally dug herself a big hole in the sand and buried herself up to her neck so only her pigtails were poking out. And all of the children sat in a circle, except for Pippi, who was in the sand with just her pigtail sticking out. And their friend Mona said, "Tell us about the children in the northern land you come from." And Pippi said, "They love fluffification," she said. Remember, she didn't like going to school very much. And Annika said, "It's called multiplication." And she said to all the children, and we children from the north, we don't actually really love multiplication. It's just something we have to learn when we go to school. And Pippi said, "Puh, northern children, they do love fluffification. They become frantic if they don't get a large dose of it every single day." And Mona said, "Oh, I don't really understand. What does it mean? Can you explain it a bit better?" And Tommy said, "I'll explain it to you." And Pippi said, "Pah, yes, well, it's like 7 times 7 equals 102. See? It's complicated." And Annika cried, "It's not 102. It's 7 times 7 is 49, Pippi." "Well, remember," Pippi said, "we're on Carrot Island now. It's an entirely different place with a flourishing climate. So 7 times 7 makes so much more here." "Bah," said Tommy and Annika. Just then, their lesson was interrupted by all the adults from Carrot Island. They had all gathered down by the shore and were calling out to the children, "Children, we're all sailing off to the next island to search for food. All of us are going, so only the children will be left here." And Captain Longstocking said to Pippi, "Oh, I hope you won't be too sad that we're all leaving." Pippi, who was still in the sand up to her neck, said, "I'll give you 3 guesses, Dad. The day I hear that some children are sad because they have to take care of themselves without grown-ups, well, that'll be the day I will learn the whole fluffification tables, backwards and forwards and inside out." And Captain Longstocking said, "That's the spirit." So all the adults sailed off and all the children got left on the island all alone for 3 days. They were joyful. Pippi rounded her hands into a megaphone and called after all the adults, "Oh, may peace be with you as you sail off. But if you're not back by my 50th birthday, I'll send out an SOS on the radio. Ha!" And with that, the adults' boat disappeared. And then all the children danced around and said, "What are we going to do now?" "Well," said Mona, "first we'll get our breakfast together." So the children all climbed up the trees to pick coconuts. They gathered breadfruit. It doesn't say here how the breadfruit grows. I don't know how breadfruit grows. Anyway, it says they gathered breadfruit, whatever that means. And they picked bananas. And then they made a fire on the beach and they roasted the wonderful breadfruit. And all the children sat around the fire and ate delicious roasted breadfruit, coconut milk, and bananas. Now, there were no horses on Carrot Island, and they had brought the porch horse on the good ship Hop Toad. And luckily, Pippi knew that the porch horse quite liked to be on ships. That's how they had got the horse to Villa Vellicula anyways. So the horse was very happy to be on the island with the children. And all the children on Carrick-Carrick Island had never seen a horse, so they all gathered around the porch horse, and Pippi gently taught them how to ride on her horse and gave all of the children a ride up and down the beach. Mr. Nielsen wasn't anywhere to be seen. He was having the time of his life in the trees and had met some other monkeys and was really enjoying roaming and climbing free with them. "So what are we going to do now?" said Tommy after all of the children had had a ride on the porch horse. And Mona said, "I think you northern children would quite like to see our fine caves." "Caves," said Pippi. "Caves? You have caves? Fantastic." So Carrick-Carrick Island was a coral island, and on the south side their high cliffs went straight up into the sky, and there at the top were the most wonderful caves. Now you can hear my dog barking. This has been a very strange recording day. That's Django, who's usually outside with me in the grass. So I may have to finish up shortly. And also you may notice that the children all suddenly knew how to speak the same language. I think that's because they made up very quickly their own language that they all understood. Let's just say that's what happened, because I couldn't find anywhere in the writing that said how they knew how to talk to each other. But children are really, really smart. So I think they just probably made up their own quick language of the north children of Tommy, Annika, and Pippi, and the south children on Carrick-Carrick Island. They probably mashed up their language together until they had their own special language. It probably had a name. I don't know what that name would be. It's making my eyebrows go up and down. Maybe you can invent a name for it. Making up your own language is super fun. See if you can give it a try. Just mash up some words together and then make up a meaning. So there they are. Someone's at my door now, so I'm going to finish up leaving you with imagining what is going to be in the coral caves on Carrick-Carrick Island. Oh, I don't know. Can hardly bear to wait. So thank you for flying into the nest and your patience with all of the technical dog barky things that happened today. And lots of hugs. Remember, celebrate diversity, and that none of us will judge people by how they look, and certainly never by the color of somebody's skin. We already have been celebrating that in the nest. Lots of love. See you another day. Bye.